Let's see. Hi, friends. It's Courtney here, and you are watching Forbidden Knowledge with me, Courtney Kane Sides, Cosmically Connected. And my friend here tonight, SandySue, Feng Shui Master, actually, SandySue, is with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about all things 2023 and Year of the Rabbit. Thank you, Sandy, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I'm so excited to share all this information with everybody.
So, who tonight? Thank you, first of all. So, with every year around this time, I start coming to you, SandySue, and of course, we're dear friends anyway, but I always want to make sure that I'm getting the direct, clear information, everything that I need to help myself connect to all of the things that are going to help me kind of energetically align, right? For the
Ex-
year. And
exactly.
and SandySue, I'm telling you guys, is such a great person to gain that information. So thank you for being here. Who tonight understands Feng Shui? If you understand it, give me an emoji. And if you know your Chinese animal, put it in the comments below too. I'm a dragon. Is that right,
Yeah,
SandySue?
you're a dragon.
I
Yes.
always forget. I'm like, I think I'm a dragon, and then my daughter tries to tell me I'm something different. And so, yep, I see a rat coming through. I see an ox. I love it. We're going to be talking about all of those things tonight, right?
Yes.
So, SandySue, I'm going to quit rambling. Before we begin, and before we kind of jump into this year, can you tell me why feng shui is important? Why do we look to feng shui to help us with any sort of guidance?
Yes, great question. So every year, feng shui, the energy around us and within us changes
Mm,
because every year is a different animal. So in feng shui, we have so many different cycles that the masters, the grandmasters, are observing all the time. They've been observing them for over 5,000 years. So that's really old, ancient wisdom for us. And so for our animals, that's a 12-year cycle.
mm.
So this is the year of the yin water rabbit. And they're calling it a black rabbit. And the reason why they call it a black rabbit is because black is the color of water. So
Oh,
whenever people see the rabbit, they know, oh, it's water element. And water element has a lot going on with that. So if you want me to share a little bit about the water element.
please, please, please.
Okay, so last year was the water tiger year.
Mm.
Okay, so next year will be a wood element. But, anyways, we'll stay with now. And so last year there was a lot of energy going on with the tiger, and we've all gone through that. And we're glad, most of us are glad it's over with because the
Who
tiger had,
who
yeah.
had a crazy year? Who had a crazy 2022 and with multiple things? And yeah, okay. So yes, let's get out of that and into this new 2023 year, please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So part of it was because of the tiger energy, but the other part of it was because of the flying star energy that was affecting our homes last year. So
Mm.
last year we had the worst star, which is called the misfortune star, living in the center of our homes and our business. So
Mm.
it affected every aspect of our life. So there was hardly anyone who told me they had an awesome year last year.
Wow.
Even the people who were having a lucky year, it wasn't as awesome as possible because of of that misfortune star. So there's so many cycles that we're looking
Mm.
at. So back to the water element of the rabbit is that there's you think of water, you think of tears,
Mm.
right? It's emotion. So there's a lot of emotion going on. And if you think of a rabbit, you think how cute they are, but also they're pretty frightened, right? There's a lot of
Get it?
frightened anxiety. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Hmm. So
Hmm.
there's going to be a lot of that energy going on this year. And if we look at our economy, we can see why. Because since the economy is slowing down, it makes a lot of us a little worried about things. But the good news about the rabbit, and I'm married to a rabbit, is that rabbits have many different holes, whenever they live in the
Yeah.
ground, right? So
Yes.
they have a lot of different X's, ways to escape.
Yeah.
But they also create different ways to make money. So they don't put all their money in one basket. They
Oh.
have a lot of different avenues. So that's what Grandmaster Hong, my teacher, recommends for us to do, is to have our money in all different areas this year so that we could, be more balanced instead of in one basket.
So this is how it feels to me. And then I have so many questions for you, SandySue. And I hope that we can get to maybe some of those questions in some of the comments tonight. So what I find is that we can, and I remember the first time you and I met, I lived in Phoenix. I met you because you were going to be my realtor. I have told this story here on this podcast last year around this time. And so I won't go into great detail. However, I remember you walking into the home and you saying, that's so, of course you're intuitive. Of course you're psychic. You already intuitively pretty much know where to put your stuff. And when you said that, I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, because I think that, as a feng shui master that you can walk in and see lots of things from a person by the way that they place things in their home. And I'm a firm believer that we can manifest things. So we can understand this about having to create many pockets of sources of income coming into our life, and having that knowledge through feng shui, through meeting with Grandmaster Hung, and pronounce his name for me.
Yeah, Grandmaster Hong.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you very much. I think it can help us manifest, right? That which we already know is going to come through in our life. So we hear that nervousness of that skittish rabbit, but we don't necessarily have to connect to the nervousness of that skittish rabbit, right? We can
Exactly
rise above by connecting to the positive energy through the feng shui in many other ways in our life. Is that right?
Exactly. Because the more things you do around you and for yourself personally, your personal energy, the more you're building up your power. And so the stars that are, draining, or the elements that are draining for this year, they just kind of roll off of us. They deflect away from us, which is great.
So we let those things roll off of our, little fur or whatever, whether we're the dragon or the rabbit or whatever. Okay. So can I start with some questions for you?
Okay.
When is the Chinese New Year? Like, when does that begin?
Okay. So this year it starts on Sunday. No, what was that? Whatever the 22nd is. I think it's Saturday. Or is that Sunday? I don't know. It's the 22nd of January.
Okay. So
yes.
I have a question then. Do we roll oranges in before that? We do, right? Into our home. And this has something totally different to do. I'm asking for myself for that.
Yes. So I love doing this. It's called orange bowling is what I call it now. And so the night before the 22nd, so on the 21st, if you can stay to midnight, great. If you can stay up till midnight, great. You can do it then. If not, you can proxy into the time. So I'll proxy into New York time and I'll do it around 10. And what you do is you take 8 oranges and you stand at your front door and you look inside your home, and you're going to be bowling the oranges into your home, but towards your prosperity area. So your prosperity area is the far left corner of your home. Yes. Sorry, I thought I had my phone turned off. There we go. And you want to roll it as far to the left corner as you possibly can. And that will help you with the abundance of your money for this year. So before you actually start rolling them, stand there and have your intention. What is your intention for this year for your prosperity? Be realistic. Yeah. Be realistic. If you're saying, oh, I want to get the lottery, that $1 billion lottery that's out there now going on, which is awesome, that's a little unrealistic. But be realistic with your intention, and it's easier for the universe to match that frequency for you.
I love that. And for me, I want to think in terms of layers. So let's take some, let's have maybe layers of what feels realistic, here. And then we can dream big, sure, but have those layers so it doesn't feel like we have to jump from here to there. Yes. So you can, when those other things step in, you can celebrate the abundance coming in, right?
Exactly. So, if you're wanting $1 billion, for example, well, that's a huge elephant,
Yeah.
right? But we've all heard you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. So make your intention one step at a time. And then you
Mm.
just keep building on that, until you reach that $1 billion, whatever your
I
goal is.
I love that. I hope everybody is listening to that. I will be definitely doing that Friday night. I might stay up till midnight. We'll see. I did see a question before I get to my other questions. I saw a couple of questions asking, how do I find out what my animal is? Is
Oh,
there a way?
great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Siri is great. So you can just go ahead and say, Siri, what was the Chinese animal and then whatever the year you were born?
Mm.
And then Siri will tell you what the animal is. The important thing to know, though, is if your birthday is in January or to the middle of February, you need to look at the actual date of the Chinese New Year, because every year the Chinese New Year changes because it's the lunar. That's why they call it the Lunar New Year,
Mm.
because it's with the moon, the new moon. Where the Feng Shui New Year, which is a completely different one, that is a solar new year. And so that is always February 4th. But for your birthday, if you're born in January or February, you really need to look at the date.
Like myself.
Mhm.
I trust you that you're looking out for me in that department. Okay.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. Good. I can be a okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so how long have you been studying with Grandmaster Hong? I know I have known you for, I mean, so many years, and I know that as far as I've known, you have studied under him. Is that correct?
Exactly. In fact, I think we actually met the same time I started with Grandmaster Hong. So this is my 13th year. So I've been completely around all 12 animals.
Wow.
And I started with the rabbit, and here we're in the rabbit again. So this is my 13th year studying with Grandmaster Hong. And it's amazing because the information that he shares with us. So last Saturday, my brain's a little fried if you can't tell, is that I spent 8 hours on Zoom with Grandmaster Hong and his interpreter,
Mm.
because he doesn't speak very good English, even though he lives in the United States. He lives in California and Hawaii. He goes back and forth. And so the interpreter, that's a long day, but the information is so amazing to
Mhm.
really understand what's going on. Because if we understand the cycles, then we know what to do. So, for instance, since there's so much water going on this year because of the water year, but it's a rabbit. So, a rabbit, the fixed element for rabbit is the wood element.
Mm.
So, what's nice about water and wood is that water helps the wood grow,
Mm.
right? So, that's good. So, that's one thing that's going on, especially the last few years for all of us, is there's a lot of growth going on emotionally, mentally, spiritually,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we've had a lot of challenges. But that's the great thing about challenges, is it kind of gets us out of our comfort zone and it helps us to grow. But because we're lacking the water element this year, there's very little. I'm sorry, the fire element this year. There's very little fire element.
Mm.
So you're seeing I'm wearing red. I wear red a lot because that's actually one of my colors. Courtney's wearing red as
Yes,
well.
yes, yes.
Yep. So we do need to wear a little bit more red this year because there's not any fire in the energy that's going on. So having, even if it's just a bracelet, with a little bit of red in it, or if you like rubies, you can wear rubies. And have your fingernails or toenails painted red if you like that. There we
Or
go.
for my
Wonderful.
first one, I need to go to the salon. But yes, red. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So by bringing in that fire element, it helps to balance us a little bit. Mhm.
Mm. Well, I love how you're sharing this information, and I love the depth of your knowledge. And this is the thing that I always find is that I'm telling you, Sadie Sue, in your 13 years that I've been learning feng shui, and as a skeptic in the beginning, honestly, and moving through, it's been pretty impressive that I feel like I know a lot about it, and yet I know nothing. And so every year do come back to you to gain more and more and more information. And I so appreciate you spending that 8 hours with Grandmaster Hong. So thank you so much. So I have another question. So what is like the yin water rabbit? Like what does that mean? And how can we know more about what that's going to be, bringing in for this year?
Yeah. So last year was the yang water, and this year is the yin water. So last year we had a lot of flooding going on. In fact, it's just this last couple of weeks, especially in California. Here in Arizona, we have tons of snow and we've had a lot of rain. It's been amazing. But the whole United States, there was just so much rain going on this year. So that was the yang. That was big water. So this year we'll still have some rain. It's not, yang is more like daytime. It's bigger energy, where yin is nighttime. It's smaller energy. So we'll still have some rain. So we're still going to have some emotions going on, dealing with, things that are going on around us. So one thing that is exciting that Grandmaster Hong had shared was that the COVID actually come April 5th, we can say bye-bye to COVID, because energetically, excuse me, that's going to be moving out. So Master Hong actually told us, students, right before any of us heard it on the news, we learned about COVID before everybody else, because that was 100-year cycle. And so that was very important, because then all of us that do Feng Shui and take care of our personal animals, we actually were able to get through, year 2000 a lot easier than a lot of other people.
Well, and knowing the information beforehand too, and many of us have many different beliefs when it comes to COVID and all of that, and so we can go and do many, many other shows around that. However, the energy of that is still there, right? And so I do remember you referencing lots of respiratory issues and all of that before. You weren't calling it that. Nobody had been. Nobody was really saying it at that point, and so I remember that falling into place and just being like, huh, interesting. And so what's really cool is once we learn all of this information like we're learning tonight, and we'll go into other details on how we can learn more information on that next phase of depth of information. There's something also about the flying stars that you can put into those different places in your home that can enhance any of those kind of low energy places that are going to be a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but more trying throughout the year, which is really, really cool. And I learned that through you, of course. And so what's interesting, you were talking about the fire, like what does that weak fire mean for us?
Yeah. So the weak fire, since we don't have that this year, that means that the economy is going to slow down even more. So that's something that we need to be aware of. It'll change. Next year, we'll start seeing it change. So we, just kind of lay low this year as much as you can when it comes to the economy. Just know that it will change. That's the good thing, is it will change. This too shall pass. But what else was I going to say? But the good thing is that since fire is coming, so we're at the end of a 20-year cycle. So there's so many cycles I could talk about, but here's another one. Is that we're at the end of the Earth cycle, which was a 20-year cycle, and that was all about our home. So that's why real estate's been so good the last several years. A lot of people have been, remodeling their homes. A lot of things to do with the home. Well, yeah. So now we're going to be going into the fire energy for the next 20-year cycle. And that's all about massive change. So there's been a lot of change been going on the last couple of years already for us, but we're really going to see a big change in the next 20 years. But it's actually going to start seeing it happening now, because it's right before the new cycle.
And you're saying a lot of big change. This is, so many people really struggle with the idea of change. So when I hear that, I can almost feel everybody tense up or get nervous about that. How it feels to me is that I don't always love that when it comes in forms that feel like lessons or, hurts or things like that. However, really doubling down on the energy that, I believe that what goes around comes around. And so
Mm.
when I am showing up in my life, doing the things in a beautiful, positive way, healing the stuff, working through the emotion. And like you've said multiple times tonight, this energy this year is going to be a lot about that water element, right? Is
Mhm.
that what you were saying? So, or there's a lot of water and wood. And so embracing the emotional stuff, the truth of what we're feeling, inviting that in, not being afraid of the change that's happening, and knowing somebody just says change is inevitable, embrace it. Thank you, Matt. That's right. So
Yes.
understanding that it's here to help us step into the next phase, and it doesn't have to scare us.
Exactly, because there's two things. We either change by choice or by default.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really, I love to have control of my life as much as possible, which most of you do, right? So if
I
we
want to say my
change,
Scorpio friend. I love that.
that's right. So this year is a good year, especially when you're having certain emotions come up this year, is to really look at those emotions and ask yourself, how can I change? I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of feeling that way. I want to feel this way. So embrace the changes that are going to come, ride that wave instead of being a salmon going upstream, ride the wave like a surfer, and decide what you can do to make positive changes in your life. And one of the most positive thing you can do is to feng shui your environment.
Yeah.
Because if you feng shui your environment, then you're letting go of the past, you're creating more space for what you want, for your intentions to come in. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of tools out there, as we all know.
My friend and brother King Simon's on here tonight. Hi, my friend. He and I have a podcast coming up in the next, month or something like that. Change and rearrange is what he says. I love that, and I love what you just said, SandySue. I know that around this time every year, I start to declutter. I start to um, my drawers are definitely showing signs that I've been so busy that I've just, every time I open it, I'm like, oh, I don't even want to look at it. Well, that also shows me that I haven't been giving myself enough space and time and slowing
Mhm.
down. So just as it's important for us to create boundaries with people, energy, whatever, it's okay for me to set boundaries so that I can create more time and space so that I can have a clear, beautiful home. Because what shows up in our physical is definitely what's happening in our internal makeup, which is highly obnoxious sometimes when all the drawers look messy. And so I really suggest right now, and I know you do too, SandySue, is that now is a beautiful time to make sure that even if we don't know a lot about all of the certain, information about feng shui, which we're learning so much tonight, and we're going to be continuing to learn more. But someplace we can start is by clearing out the clutter and also the things in our home that we don't love. If it's something that we don't necessarily have to have, it's just collecting space for no reason. You suggest getting rid of that or donating it, or right? Is that right?
Yes, donate it.
Yeah.
If it's reusable, definitely donate it. Don't put it in our landfills,
Mm,
please. Because when you donate it, you're actually, especially according to Master Hong, is you're lifting your vibration because you're giving. And especially for the animals that have more of a challenge this year, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, the more you give, the more you increase your earth luck.
mm. So we spoke about this for a moment before we jumped on here. And you said there are some animals that are more lucky than others,
Yes.
and you might have said that mine is not the most of the luckiest this year. I rebuke it. I'm kidding, but I'm taking a breath in. I'm going to do all the things, all of the different flying star things, and know that it's going to go my way anyway. Darn it, right? So
Exactly.
can you tell me what some of the animals that are going to have, what's the difference? Who's the good luck animals? Who are the not so good luck energy?
Okay, so let's start off with the good news first. So the good news is that the dog is going to have a great year this year. Yay, dogs. The sheep is going to have a great year, which is good because they had a few rough years in a row. So they're going to have a great year. And then the pig. And the pig is all about having fun. And so those are the three animals that are going to have the most luck.
Okay.
So what I advise everybody is to figure out all the animals in your life. So write down all your friends, all your family, some people that you work with, and figure out their animals. So this is good conversation this week because it's the Chinese New Year, right? So ask them what their Chinese animal is. And then whoever is the dog, whoever is the sheep, and whoever is the pig, hang out with them this year as much as possible, because luck will just be flying off of their aura and you can grab that energy and lift your energy up. So for the ones that are having more challenge, the dragon, which is Cortney, which we mentioned earlier, and the horse, which is me, I'm the fire horse. Yep. And then the rabbit. And a lot of people are like, well, I thought when it's my year that I'd have a good year. So the thing with the rabbit is rebirthing themselves. So last year was the tiger. And so for an example, I will not say my client, but she's a tiger and she works literally, I'd say 80 hours a week, just work, work, work. She's very driven. She's a doctor. She's very driven, which is great. But she wasn't balancing like what you were talking about earlier, Cortney, is balancing our time more, saying no more so that we can clean our clutter and our drawers and things like that. But she was so driven that her health started to take a toll. Oh. And so she shared with me today on an email, because I'll be seeing her next week, because I always go to her home and her business to Feng Shui, that she had to make some major changes. But she's grateful for the lessons, for the challenges, because she had to make those changes. So default or choice, right? Yeah. And so now she's, doing more yoga, taking more time off. So those are some good things. So rabbits, go ahead.
So when we take time off, and I'm so sorry to interrupt, when we take time off, when we're nervous about doing that, I think that we're nervous because in self-employment, entrepreneurs, or even just in not normal, but in careers, we get nervous because we feel like it's going to be a lack of money, when actually it does somehow bring more money in. I notice that. And so if I'm really taking care of my physical health, my emotional health, my mindset, that there's not a lack financially, even when I'm having balance within my work week or my client load, any of that. And so it's really interesting how energetically, if we're aligning up and doing these things, I want to say for the right reason, not feeling guilt when we're taking vacations, even if we're taking vacations to come home and clean out the drawers. Okay. Appreciating that, putting good music on that's uplifting or whatever, all of that really does set the tone for what you're bringing in.
It totally does, because let's talk about clutter a little bit more. So my clients that have difficulties with money, bringing in money, they have clutter in a few different areas that affect our money. So it's not just the money area of the home. There's a few other areas that are happening. And so you just want to get rid of all your clutter. And we keep talking about the drawers. Well, you know what the drawers and the closets are about? Our unconscious mind. Yes. Yikes. So if we clear out the clutter in our closets and in our drawers, then our mind, is more open. We've let go of the past, non-coherent beliefs that we've picked up from our family, our environment, whatever. We've let those go when we've cleared out our junk drawer. And when you do that, then you attract more money because you're vibrating at a higher frequency.
It's so freeing. It really is. I saw Ethan posted earlier and that he's the ox. So it was the ox on that lucky list?
Ox is a mixed bag this year. Yeah. Okay. So they have a mixed bag. Yeah. Okay. And then there's a couple others. So also the rat has a challenging year. And then the rooster has the most challenging year. And the reason is because it's in conflict with the rabbit energy. So rabbits and roosters don't get along. And I've seen that with my husband. So like my rooster friends or clients or whatever, he just kind of feels a little odd. He feels off when he's around them. And I'm like, oh, that was a rooster. That's why.
Isn't that interesting? You are able to see it and almost like pick people out in that way, which is so funny. I know that you're a horse, and often just in the 13 years that I've known you, you drive a fast car. You drive, I mean, all of those things. You need to find speed often, like horses do. They just want to let go and run, right? And
Exactly.
so it's really funny. Do you think that we sometimes mimic those traits as those Chinese animals?
Oh, completely. And I've gotten to the point now, because I've been studying for the 13 years now with Master
Yeah,
Hong,
yeah.
is that actually I could look at a person and I could pretty much figure out what animal they are, because it kind of shows up in their face. It's
Oh,
hard for me to describe, but I can see it. But I have Feng Shui eyes. I'm always looking for energy, right? And so it's amazing. But I can usually always figure out what an animal is, what the person's animal is, by the way they look or the way they're acting.
mm, that's so interesting. I believe that, I don't have that ability to see somebody and see it. And so I love that it's something that, like you said, you've got those feng shui eyes. And so it's one of those things um, that we all have the ability to, when we're investing in a certain something, either intuition or the feng shui energy or whatever, we really can start, it can become us. Does that make sense? Uh,
Yes.
by the way, I want to say real quick there, I'm seeing a few of the comments coming in, many, and 95% of them are beautiful and wonderful. But I always want to make it clear that on this beautiful podcast, we are sharing opinions of our own. But I always encourage you all to come back to what you know to be true. And you are your beautiful own barometer. You are your own awareness. If something does not feel like truth to you, I want you to take a breath in, exhale that energy out, and you understand that only you can really connect to that truth. And so if you're seeing something or you're hearing something that does not necessarily align with your beliefs, your thoughts, your heart, that is okay. And it takes all kinds to make this beautiful world go round. And I invite you to be here. I invite you to watch. I invite you to connect. But if you find that there's something that does not connect to you, I love you, my friend, and you can go to the next video. So thank you so much for being here, my friend. But I definitely I'll like invite you to leave if you are not interested in this video. So thank you so much. I do see lots of comments coming in, people saying that yes, last year had ended up very hard for them. When we do these specific remedies, and you call them remedies, right? So when we know that we're an animal that may not have the best of luck in this way or that way, through the feng shui information, there are ways to do remedies that can help our luck up or support us more, so that it's not going to feel so difficult. Is that right? So how do we
Exactly.
negate that negative unlucky energy?
Okay, great. So, and I'm proof, because since I've been doing this for such a long time, that when I had the worst year, so like the rooster has the worst year, when
Mm.
it was, so here it is. The horse had the worst year whenever COVID hit, because it was the year of the rat, and the rat carries diseases,
Oh,
right? So that goes hand in hand with COVID as well. But that's another story. So here I'm going off on track.
we
Is
do.
that I'm sorry.
I said we do that. We go off on tangents.
We do. We do. Is that I actually had a great year. It
Mm.
was actually one of my best years, even though it was considered the worst year. But I had done all these things and I've been doing them for years. And the more that you are being who you are, loving people, giving to them, donating your time, your talents, your clothes, whatever, it's bringing your luck up. So some of the things that you can do besides those things is to hang around the people with the good luck that I had mentioned before. And then also, for instance, the sheep. So since I'm a horse, I'll use me for an example. The sheep is my secret friend.
Mhm.
And then the dog is part of my triad. So my triad, we really understand each other. So that's the tiger, the dog, and the horse. So we all run together. That makes sense.
Yes.
And so so what I do is I wear jewelry, or I have figures. So for instance, I have this beautiful tiger right here, this beautiful
Cool. Okay.
tiger, right? And he's right here on my desk because he's giving me the energy. So if you surround yourself by the animals that give you positive energy, and if you don't know that, you can look it up and find out who your secret friends are for the animals.
Interesting.
Um, so you can look that up. And of course, I'll be teaching that on Friday. So for anyone who wants to join me on Friday on my Zoom at 7 o'clock,
I will.
6 o'clock rather.
I'm teaching a class, but I'll get the recording, which I'm
Yes,
so.
you're getting the recording. Is that you want to also give blood. So by giving blood, you're giving life. That's like one of the best things you can do to increase your luck.
Mm.
Is to give blood because you're giving life. And if you're not, some people can't give blood because they get sick or what have you, but you can go and get your blood tested. That's a good time because they don't necessarily maybe draw as much. I don't know. But that's another thing you can do as well, is to get your blood tested during this time.
Because they pull the blood, and so there's a little bit leaving. Is that right? Oh, that's so interesting.
Exactly. So if you're having a challenging year, that's the time that you could get in little accidents, or you could cut yourself, with a knife accidentally when you're cooking, things like that. But according to Grandmaster Hong, if you donate your blood, if you draw some of it out, then the universe is satisfied. You don't have to worry about anything. And you definitely want to be careful driving. All of us animals need to be careful driving, but we just want to be more careful when it's a challenging year for us in all aspects of our life.
I do see more people talking about, like, wait, what are the good luck, what are the not so good luck animals this year? And so I can we touch back on that in just a little bit before we jump off,
Mhm.
or before we jump off tonight. There's some people joining us. I'd love for you guys to be able to hear that again, here live with us, and then of course watch the replay if you need to. But all of that leads to, listen, this is how I feel about feng shui. It's like the more I know, oh my gosh, we uncover another next something of information. And so it's so layered upon, we can talk about the monkeys and or the animals, and how um it's going to be affecting all of us in this life this year and all of it. And so that's what you're teaching, yes, in a Zoom group on Friday, your
Mhm.
class, which is something that you do every year. However, that literally is just the start of what that looks like, right?
Mhm.
After we get into the year of the rabbit, all of that in-depth information and how it's going to be affecting all of us animals, we then start to, you teach another class too about those flying, I'm losing my thought. What is it?
No, no, you were saying it. Flying star. You were saying it. That's great.
The word flying stars. I have all of them. I did not
Mhm.
them out last year, and I should have done that. I did not. And so I do know that when I place those, are there 12 flying stars?
So there's 9 flying stars, and then we use Piao too. So 10 that we need to use. Mhm.
Okay. And that's a whole nother show. We're going to have you come back and let's talk about that, because that's a whole nother animal within itself, of moving them around your home. I will say though, when we do that, it is something that is, it does enhance my life. It enhances the energy of my home. It enhances all of that. And I have definitely seen the impact in my life of feng shui. I was 13 years ago not a believer. I was not really, I never even really heard about it. I mean, I heard a little bit about it, but I just knew nothing about it. So once you came into my life, and once you actually gifted me a feng shui session of coming in, it was really amazing to see that. And ever since then you've literally feng shuied every home I've lived in since then, because I find that it is so on point with the work that I want to do in energy and manifestation, and it helps to to alleviate to the next level, to alleviate either that negative energy or to go to that next step in as far as manifestation goes. And so, can we talk again about those animals that are having the good luck this year? We've got new people joining us, and I just want them to be able to have that. So, what are the people that are going to have the good stuff coming in this year? What are those animals again?
Yes. So the dog, the pig, and the sheep. Those are the three luckiest animals this year. The ones that have the most challenging is the dog, the dragon, you, the horse,
You.
me, the rat, the
Okay.
rabbit, and the rooster. The rooster has the most challenging. So I advise all roosters to do as much feng shui as possible. In fact, if you're having a challenging year, you really should be doing all the feng shui, period. On the other hand, if you're having a great year, you want to capture that energy and really, do your feng shui too, because then you're pulling in more money, more helpful people, your more vitality, life force, so
Mhm.
that when the next year rolls around, if it's more of a challenging year, then you can lay low. So next year, the dog will not have as good as a year because last year and this year, they're having a really good year.
Okay.
So then it comes around the next time, the third year for them, it won't be as good. But since they had two, years in a row that was really good, they just get to, lay back, lay
They get
down, lay low.
the ghost. Well, and what about the monkey? I've seen a couple people keep asking, what about the monkey?
Yes, our poor monkeys. Last year they had the worst year, and all my monkey friends, they had very challenging years. The thing though with the feng shui is when you do feng shui, it's a challenging year, but it's not a horrifying year, because when you do feng shui, it's like a pebble in your hand, right? Of a problem or a pinprick versus a boulder or, something that really hurts. So
So all of those other animals, the ox, the goat, all of those other, they're going to have fine years. Is that right? They're
So
going
they're going to have a mixed bag. Yeah.
to,
So it's going to be an okay year. They're going to have some good times and then a little bit of challenging, but it's just like a mixed bag. It's just not really good and it's not really bad. It's just kind of a mixed bag.
so when I hear that, and even when I hear, that I'm on that, say, more challenging list, I'm like, well, that's fine, but I know me. I know my energy, and so I know
Mhm.
I'm going to do all of the different remedies. I'm also going to bring it energetically. I'm going to work on my own personal process, my own whatever that is. And so even when it's if feng shui says it's going to be a more difficult year, I'm going to know that it's going to be that way because I'm going to be like, whoop, on the next one. It's going to take me up to that next grade of awareness or that next lesson. And so I don't want you all to hear that, those of us who
Mhm.
are in that latter category, I don't want you to hear that and feel like, oh no, and you put that blanket upon you. I want you to know that awareness changes it all. Okay, what is observed is change. And so this. Now what are we going to do about it? So can you tell me about your event on Friday? Can you tell me about that class?
Yeah. So the class on Friday is 6 o'clock Arizona Mountain Time.
Mhm.
And it's about an hour. And I'm sharing everything that Master Hong just shared with me on Saturday. And so it's a slideshow presentation. You get a recording afterwards as well. So you can go back to it. You get the PDF on it as well. You get everything that he talked about your particular animal, because there's actually a lot of information. So you will find out a lot about what you need to know personally for your animal and for your loved ones, their animals.
Mm,
During the class, so you'll get to read that. So I'm not reading all that because nobody wants to, sit there and listen to everybody's animals,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I give a short version. You get to read that on your own, and you get that as soon as you sign up because it's on Teachables. It's a platform. I already have that information on there right now, so people are able to read about that now. But on Friday, I'll be sharing more about the world energy that's going on and how it's going to affect us on all different levels. But then I will talk about each animal of what he recommends our color to wear. So he gives us like 3 or 4 colors. So all my clients that love to buy purses and new wallets during this time of year to bring in more, feng shui luck, they know what color to use. So they have usually 3 or 4 colors to choose from. And then also your numbers. So you have 1 to 4. Well, usually there are 3 to 4 different numbers that are very lucky for you. And this is for all the animals. So what we recommend is using those lucky numbers as part of your passwords. So we always want to change those up, right? We
Yes.
always want to change those up.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can even use your color with that too. So say purple is your number. So your color. So you could put purple and then 1, 5, and 6 or whatever it is.
That is such a good idea. I often have clients, I paint in the sessions. If I had one here, I'd show it to you. In my private sessions with clients, they all get a painting. And so that picture they often put as their screenshot on their phone as a reminder for them just to connect to their highest self, to source. And I love that you said that even in the feng shui work, what a great idea is to put that color on there, because even when you see it, it's just another moment for you to take a breath, breathe it in. Thank you for the awareness that is mine, and exhale the number connection and the energy of the color too. I think, why not? And it's okay if some are not feng shui believers. It's okay if they are, but if it works for you, why not let it work for you? I think that's pretty incredible. I know it has in my life. Do you feel as though let me see here. Do you feel as though having that ebb and flow of the lucky, animals versus the animals that are not maybe so lucky, do you feel like that can set the tone for somebody's year sometime? Or do you feel like one might hear that and not, if they don't do the remedies, do you feel as though that hurts them energetically, or it just stays that way, they can kind of sit in it, if you will? Do you feel like those that actually put those remedies into place can again transcend that? Because I guess the answer would be yes. I'm going to answer my own question to you, because even you said that year that it was the horse's bad luck year, it was one of your best years yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because as long as you're doing what you need to do, just like our health, if we're eating right, we're getting exercise, we're sleeping enough,
Right.
then overall our health, we're pretty healthy. And so it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But the other thing I wanted to mention too, Cortney, is
Yeah.
that besides the colors and the numbers, you will find out what your lucky months are. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are on here. And so you know what months that you want to launch something in your business. Then you also find out like 3 of your unlucky months, so that oh, that would be a good time to take a vacation where I'm just going to enjoy myself and not put out so much effort. Because if you're going to work, we want to work smarter, not harder. And when we know the months that are good for us versus the challenging months, because every month is a different animal
Yeah.
and element. So that's what affects us. And then also you'll find out your lucky day and your challenging day. Because like for instance, Wednesdays used to always be my really lucky day, but not this year. So I'm moving a lot of my things to Friday because that's a luckier year. But what's interesting is intuitively I already decided to do that.
Mhm.
And I didn't find that out until Saturday with Master Hong. And
Oh,
when we do feng shui, what happens is you're lifting the consciousness of your environment, which is lifting your consciousness, and you're more intuitive. You're
which
just so more intuitive.
which matches this group, by the way. So this group here, those of you here on this podcast, there are many of you, and I so appreciate you watching this. If you love this show, by the way, I'm getting chills as I say it. Please follow, please hit like, please subscribe to this channel. It means the world to me. I know it would mean the world to SandySue, and follow her on all of the social media. We're not done yet, and still getting in it. But this group that is here in this beautiful community, I'm telling you, you guys are smart. You guys are um, multi-leveled. You guys are some of the most beautifully conscious individuals I've ever seen, honestly. When those of you book private sessions, as soon as you pop up, I know immediately that you've come to me from the Forbidden Knowledge Network. I'm telling you, there is an energy, there's a quest of knowledge, a quest of information. And I'm telling you, SandySue, these people, you guys, I love you all, they get it and they understand the quite complicated information and energy. And when you just said that to me, and I don't think I've ever heard you say it like that ever
Mm.
in all of my years, you said what's happening when you feng shui is you're taking the energy within your home and it's like you're upgrading that energetic connection. You're raising the home's consciousness. When you said that, I just freaked out. I've never heard you say that before. So guys, if you don't believe it, that's awesome. No worries. You don't have to do it. But if that poured with you the way it just did for me, oh, why wouldn't we add that energy to our home? Why wouldn't we connect in that way? I am so excited. Anyway, so um I'm so geeking out over that. So thank you for the burst of information, SandySue. That lit a fire under me. I hope it does for you.
Yay.
Yeah. Um, so tell me, so the class is on Friday. It's a Zoom class. It's a virtual something. I know that whenever I do any at the beginning of the year and I touch my head, because it is quite, there are some quick and easy things we can do. It depends on how extensive you want to take it. If you go all in the way that I would suggest you go all in, it takes some time. So I know that packet of information that you give to people it's really thorough. And like you said, nobody necessarily wants to sit through, if they're an ox, nobody wants to sit through being a dragon and whatever. And so being able to go in and read that specific in-depth information that pertains to you and for the year, I know in my experience has been so valuable. And so I appreciate you doing that work. I really, really do. Now I have another question here. I want to read it. What investments and career decisions for the year?
Yeah. So since we're going to be going into this new 20-year cycle,
Mhm.
Grandmaster Hong said that anything to do with actually let me get my notes because I want to share it with
Sure.
everybody. So because I don't want to miss one thing, because since I just learned it all, I don't have it all in my head. So I want to give you every little thing. Anything to do with high tech. Okay. So everybody write this down because I want all your prosperity to go up, right? High tech, artificial intelligence,
Uh-huh.
robotic, healthcare, and beauty. So those are the different things that we want to invest in. And if anyone's thinking about changing jobs or going back to, maybe something like this, they were in the beauty industry before, this is the time to start looking and going into, going that direction. Makes a
Mm.
huge difference when you're working with that wave that I talked about earlier, that wave of energy to bring you more prosperity.
Jumping on and just riding that flow, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I paint all day long. I've got so many different hundreds and maybe even thousands at this point, images and paintings that I'm very into the whole NFT thing. And when you say that, I'm hearing NFT. So if anybody's really good at NFTs, you let me know, hit me up and maybe do something. But I think that that's a really cool thing. That's definitely any of that high tech, that AI, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's going to be
Uh,
exciting.
what about some of your favorite ways to bring in like abundance? So can you give us a tip about that?
Yeah. So getting the new wallet or purse, and especially if you can get it in the color that's best for your animal,
Okay.
that I highly recommend. We talked about bowling the oranges to the prosperity area, which I'll remind everybody, especially if you just hopped on, it's the far left corner of your home when you're standing at your front door facing in. Now, just another little thing I want to share with you guys is this year with the flying star energy, the money energy lives in the south.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's going to live in a few different areas. Well, there's other areas too, but that's the area for this year for the flying star. It'll always be in the far left corner of your home based on your front door. Okay. So that's the
Flying star.
Western feng shui. Flying star is about the compass, north, south, east, west, so on. So the south is where the money energy lives as well. So you can also, roll it that way if you want.
I'm going to roll it all of the many different ways. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. And then it's very important to really let go. So we were talking about earlier about donating, cleaning, things like that. Is the night before, or the day before, so on the 21st of this month, it's good to go to the farthest part of your home and start sweeping last year's energy
Mm.
out the door. So mine is my closet, and then I just go throughout the house and I just sweep literally, whatever dirt wants to go with it, but really the energy, right? We want that misfortune energy that we all had to deal with last year. We're just pushing that out the door. And on the holiday itself, on the 22nd, you don't want to do any housework. You don't want to work if you
Hey.
can, because you just want to celebrate that day so that you're bringing that celebration energy into the whole year, no matter what animal you are this year. But if you're working a lot on the 22nd and you're doing housework, all those kind of things, then it's going to just be more of a little bit of a challenge because you're bringing that into the new year. So have fun instead.
So is the 22nd on Saturday?
Let me look. I've been so busy with Master Home that I'm like, what day is it? Let me look. It is on Sunday, actually.
Okay.
So Sunday is a good day to celebrate.
Okay. I'm like, we're redoing a podcast room. So I'm super excited about it. And so that will be a new look in time. And so I was thinking we were going to do that Saturday, but okay, make sure we're done. And that's not happening on Sunday. So thank you for the tip. So when is the Feng Shui New Year? Now, is that different than this other, Friday that we were talking about, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So the Chinese New Year is on the 22nd this year. That's lunar. And then the Feng Shui New Year is always February 4th. And that's when the flying star energy starts to shift. So we like to prepare before that as well, getting rid of things, just donate as much as you can. Clean as much as you can. Like I had my carpets clean this week, drapes, all those kind of things. Just do deep cleaning this week as much as possible, but not on Sunday. And on next Friday, actually, if I can mention this, next Friday on the 27th, I believe, that's when I'm going to start a 12-week a feng shui program on the flying stars, where you'll be sending in a photo. So for instance, if we're working on the Northwest that week, you'll send a picture of the Northwest of your home, that room. And then you'll also tell me that that's the love area. So you're going to be getting 2-for-1 information. So I'll be talking about how you can help the love area, but also whatever the star that's living there this year, what you need to do to either lift the positive or deflect the negative, especially if it's your bedroom, because we're vulnerable when we're sleeping. So if we have any of those, challenging stars in that area or our living room or by our front door, you really want to make sure that you're, balancing the chi, all the elements as much as possible. And it's so important. And the reason why I'm doing it this year for 12 weeks is because we're going to the 20-year cycle next year that I told you about. But it's actually going to start happening now because, the Chinese New Year is happening this Sunday, but a lot of us started feeling a little, especially all of us that are intuitive. It was last month, we actually started feeling a lot better. We just started feeling a little bit lighter, even though Mercury retrograde was going on. We had to deal with that big old planet, but we started feeling, it wasn't as heavy energy.
Right.
And it's because the new energy the rabbit was starting to come in, and the tiger was like, I'm out of here. I'll see you in, 11 years. And so we can already start feeling the shift. And that's what's going to happen now is we're going to start seeing changes this year for the big changes that's going to happen for the 20-year cycle. So by having your home really good feng shui, when that change comes up, you're going to be like, I'm going with the wave. I'm doing great.
Yes.
It's going to be a great 20 years.
I think that when you talk about the flying stars and you say 12 weeks, I think this is the first year that you've ever done it in such a detailed core, and it's always been very detailed. However, the specificness as far as being able to share your own home and get your your take on it, I'm telling you, is something um, I have always really appreciated because it is specific to my space. And so if anybody listening, I encourage you. There's not many things that I do every year. There are not many even healers and things that I do. There's a small handful, but I'm telling you that something that I do in my life, and something that I do, it makes me smile talking about it, and something that I do every year, I'm telling you, is I do this. I feng shui the home. I follow SandySue's information that she has gained from Master Hung, and I put it into work. I did our other home before this. We purchased this home in February, and I had, because it was after, by the time we got in and settled, I was not ready to get that done. So this will be the first year. I'm super excited about it, but I know, it's going to bring really beautiful energy into my life yet again. It's done it for 13 years. And so, friends, thank you for listening. If anybody needs to find you, SandySue, how do they find you? What's your website? How do we find you on social media? How do we sign up for this course? All of that information, please share it.
Okay, great. So on Facebook, that's the only social media I do. So it's Feng Shui with SandySue, the Happy Energy Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then my website is Happy Energy Coach. And if you go to that, I suggest going to there because it's a lot cleaner to understand. If you go to that, you'll actually just see under the Happy, you'll see where it says events. Just hit that drop down and you'll see all the different events that we were talking about. And then some of the replays too that are available, if you're interested in the replays as well.
Which is also always so great to get all of that absolutely amazing energy. Friends, thank you for being here again. If you have appreciated this information, there's so much more to learn. You've heard which animals were going to have better years or better year ahead than the others. Some of us not so great, but there are remedies and things for us to do. I encourage, if you guys want more detailed information, join me or join me in starting to get more of that information for this year of the rabbit on Friday in SandySue's class. I will not be able to be there live, but I will be definitely doing all of the things and listening this weekend. And so enrolling my oranges in. So guys, that was a really good tip. Make sure you get your 5. Was it 5?
8. 8 is prosperity.
I'm already messing it up. Get your 8 oranges. Let's roll them into that front door. So guys, thank you for being here. Please subscribe, please share, please heart, please like, and I love you guys, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you, SandySue, for joining me.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Make it a great year.
We'll do it.